Reverend Sylvia King and Republican Mr. John DeBartola, both agreeing to a set of ground rules prior to this meeting. We want to thank both of you for joining us tonight.
Now, this debate will be commercial-free for the next 30 minutes. There is no audience with us in the studio. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to answer each question. After, each candidate will be given 30 seconds to make a rebuttal if they so choose.
At the end of our series of questions, both will be given an opportunity for a 1-minute closing statement. The candidates are not allowed to use props, the teleprompter, or prepared statements. The notebooks they both have are blank.
There is a timer for each segment. The screen will turn yellow when the candidate has 15 seconds remaining, then red when time is up. Now, prior to this debate, candidates participated in a coin toss to determine who answers first or goes second in closing statements. Mr. DeBartola won the toss and chose to go last in closing statements, which means Reverend King will answer our first question first.
Both candidates have been asked to be respectful of each other. The questions are partly from viewers or created by a panel of 6 news staff members. The candidates were not given any questions in advance. Less than 48 hours ago, they were both given a list of general topics we'll be covering. And with that, let's get to our first question. Question 1, please define what you believe the role of Johnstown mayor should be. What are the daily duties of the mayor? Reverend King, we start with you. You have 1 minute.
The daily duties of the mayor are one of servantship. The mayor's position is not a position of power. It is a position in which the mayor serves the people. You hit the ground each day, finding out if anything transpired in your city throughout the night that would affect the residents or affect the employees or the city in of itself. The mayor's position is one to be involved in the community, to be involved in the neighborhoods as well as the business sector, and to also collaborate with our businesses and our business leaders to try to bring about and to bring change and opportunities into the city. I have done my best for the past 8 years, even just as a city council person, to be involved in the different sectors, being involved with private business, being involved with our community, to help bring about change in our community, to find out what the ills are in our community, what things can we work better at, and to collaborate with each of those entities.
Mr. DeBartola, what do you believe the role of Johnstown mayor should be? You now have 1 minute.
I believe it's time to redefine the government in Johnstown. For far too long, we've had a revolving door of leadership with our city manager. I believe we've had 23 city managers in the past 22 years. I believe Ms. King has voted for 10 of those city managers in her 8 years in office. It's a failed government form. What we need to do is go back to a representative form of government, where we literally have people elect council members in districts, and the mayor actually has a role with the council in defining leadership, defining how we govern, and actually takes control of the city. Right now, the council is ceremonial. Our mayor doesn't have the ability to control our departments, make changes, or actually govern the community. We've seen this with so many city managers. When they put them in office, they love them, and then when they leave, they're the worst person ever. We've had so many issues with our city managers and all of our department heads until we put a referendum in and go back to a council representative form of government. Nothing is going to change in Johnstown.
Reverend King, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Your time starts now.
First, there haven't been 10 city managers within the past 8 years. Also, the city manager is a professional form-run government. The city manager must have certain qualifications. That person needs to be able to negotiate contracts, plus oversee a staff and all department heads at the same time. The good thing about the mayor not doing that is because the mayor is a political position. The city manager is not a political position. Therefore, he's neither Democrat nor Republican. It's just his job to run the day-to-day operations of the city.
Mr. DeBartola, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you so choose.
We've seen the city manager have a controversy almost 10 years ago with Melissa Comar when her education was called into question. The city council actually reduced the requirement to a bachelor's to be city manager, meaning anyone could do it if they have an education. I honestly believe if we do not change the form of government we have to make it a representative forum, we're going to continue with this revolving door of leadership, and we're going to continue having all the problems we have and have had in Johnstown.
We go to question 2. What is your top funding priority in the city budget? What would you add or cut if necessary? Mr. DeBartola, we start with you. You have 1 minute.
The biggest issue we have right now in the budget is the Central Park debacle. I call it a concrete jungle. The City Council voted to spend $8 million, an unprecedented amount of money, to redo Central Park, and they wasted $2 million on design plans they're not even using. That money could have went to our public safety building. That money could have went into our playgrounds, into our community. Instead, they are completely destroying our park. And by allocating that money from the budget to that particular project, what they're actually doing is they're destroying business downtown. We're seeing our business owners crying out for help and relief because the money they're using from the budget is destroying the city. What needed to happen is that money needed to be allocated to more police. It needed to go toward the public safety building. The areas that need to be fixed the most, our playgrounds, our communities, our neighborhoods. That's the focus of where the money should be in our budget. And right now, they're not doing that. They're defending this park project above all else when the citizens of this community do not want it.
Reverend King, what is your top funding priority in the city budget? What would you add or cut if necessary? You have 1 minute.
I would add more housing. Johnstown needs housing. We have a low housing stock. We have an aging housing stock. The money that was spent for the park was through the ARPA funds. That's not just a regular budget item. It is probably the first time and the only time that we would ever receive that amount of money that could go into changing the aging infrastructure in our city. The money could not be used for police officers, okay, because the thing about it is that how would you sustain those police officers after the grant money is gone? We have a recreation department whereby we have gone around and fixed the different playgrounds because there's money in the community and economic development for the playground renovation. And our playgrounds are in good shape, and that is our job, to try to make the playgrounds and each and every neighborhood a safe place, a more healthy place, so the neighbors and people would want to move into those neighborhoods and purchase those homes so the neighborhoods can be safe and livable.
Mr. DeBartola, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
I'm actually glad Ms. King acknowledged she wanted more housing. I am against expanding Section 8 and public housing in general. There are 2,000 people on the wait list with the Johnstown Housing Authority. What I'm calling for is a reduction in housing. We don't need any more poverty transplants, any more pipeline to Philly. We need to stop the influx of poverty here, not by not having more public housing, by having a reduction in public housing.
Okay. Reverend King, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you so choose.
The housing that would go in neighborhoods would be homes that you purchase, and I think Mr. DeBartola knows that you don't buy public housing. I am not for any more public housing as well. We absolutely, positively do have enough. But having home ownership programs and having down payment assistance programs will help people to purchase homes in our neighborhood. The city has applied for a grant through our Community and Economic Development Department for home ownership rehabilitation program, and also sewer lateral assistance for income-constrained families, in which you, Mr. DeBartola, were a benefactor.
All right, let's move on here. What projects or economic initiatives would you continue to support, and tell us which ones you would like to see end? Reverend King, we start with you.
I'm going to ask if you would repeat the question.
What projects or economic initiatives would you continue to support, and tell us which ones you would like to see end? We're going to begin with you. You have 1 minute.
I would love to see more. I would love to see more money being put into home builds. We had our first home build in over 10 years, and I'm glad to say that it was on the street that I live on. So I would like to see more of that. We do need a new housing stock. People want to purchase homes. I believe we have home stock whereby the houses are vacant right now simply because our population is older, they've moved out to area, and their children no longer live here, and those homes become vacant, and then they begin to deteriorate because no one is living in them. This is why we have applied for assistance that you can purchase that home, plus rehab that home at the same time, and that's something that has not been done. I really, at this point, do not know if there's anything that I would take away from, because we're running lean as it is. So whatever services and programs that we have benefit and uplift and empower our residents.
Mr. DeBartola, what projects or economic initiatives would you continue to support, and tell us which ones you would like to see end? You now have 1 minute.
One of the biggest political hot potatoes we have in the city of Johnstown is the RAISE grant. The city has almost $11 million to completely redo the Main Street corridor, and it's not being discussed. Senator Langer-Hulk and Representative Burns had to get a special consultant from the state because the city is incapable of administering the grant. They've had 4 years, and there's been no progress on this project. They ended up putting a committee together, the Main Street Corridor Committee. They met once in 4 years. That project needs focus. That's why I'm bringing that up to answer your question. You have another project like Central Park. The city is incapable of administering the grant. They're going to drop the ball again. And unless we actually start discussing these things and how badly they're ruining them, they're blaming other agencies. We're seeing, oh, it's always one excuse after another. It's $11 million. And a lot of the work they're doing with the Central Park refit is going to be done a second time with the Main Street Corridor project. A lot of the streets being torn up, a lot of the work. That causes a lot of havoc for our business district. That completely, once again, destroys downtown.
Reverend King, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
The RAISE grant is a complex grant. There are more than one entity. It's the Camtram, it's JAHA, plus it's the city involved. Senator Langer-Hulk was gracious to get us someone to help collaborate with those 3 agencies to ensure that the ball was not dropped. So we are grateful for that. Central Park is just a piece of the puzzle. It all comes together with the Main Street corridor being redone. Once Central Park is completed, then we can start the work on Main Street.
Mr. DeBartola, if you choose, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
I want to point out that they completely dropped the ball on the Central Park project. It's been 4 years. They lost $2 million on design plans, and we've had no progress on the RAISE grant whatsoever. The reality of it is, if we didn't have our state legislature stepping in to give us help, you guys are incapable. You're incompetent. You can't do it. That's the problem. 4 years. Thank you.
We move on to question 4. What is your plan to keep Johnstown residents and businesses safe? Mr. DeBartola, we start with you. You have 1 minute.
We start by talking about more policing. When I go around door to door talking to residents, the one thing I hear is they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe in their homes. They don't feel safe going out after dark. We have had a string of shootings and crimes in the last year. My opponent, I believe in 2018, called for 0 murders in 2018, an initiative she never actually acted on. We never heard from it again. We're at a point now where until we actually start dealing with the crime problem, talking about it, not sweeping it under the rug and changing our policies, nothing is going to change in regards to crime. Our residents don't feel safe here. That affects our businesses. That affects our entire culture. I mean, it's a complete disgrace. We're in an area that's beautiful. We have the most scenic area to live in, and people are afraid to go out of their homes because they keep seeing the shootings and the crime and all the importation of poverty from Section 8. That poverty pipeline hurts our communities, and that brings in more crime. And that's why we have to reform the Johnstown Housing Authority.
Reverend King, what is your plan to keep Johnstown residents and businesses safe? You now have 1 minute.
First, 0 murders is the standard. It's something that you try to achieve. Okay? We cannot police our way out of every problem. Policing is a nationwide problem. This is why we have given our law enforcement officers a raise, and also we have put incentives in place to have them have the opportunity to not just look at law enforcement as being a stepping stone, but a career whereby they will stay in the area, they will get to know the citizens, that they will become more engaged in the community, and thereby they'll have a better relationship with the community. Some people say they are afraid, but guess what? We have a lot of people that still come out. They still come out. There's many people that feel safe here because they do not feel that it is the crime-ridden city that Mr. DeBartola tries to make it out to be. It is not. We are still clean. We are still safe. We are still friendly. We have a long way to go, but we're working. But we are making progress.
Mr. DeBartola, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Back in June, I posted a police report from the City Council where they actually listed the statistics for police and crime. JAC did a story on it. The minute I put it on Facebook and this station covered it, they blocked access to all the reports. They didn't want the community to know what's going on with our actual crime statistics. Until we actually have accurate, transparent information and they start telling us the truth, we're not going to know the true status of crime in the city because they're hiding it from us. And we see it time and time again.
Reverend King, you now have 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you so choose.
There's nothing being hidden. It's clarity. It's being able to understand the information. It's being able to understand the crime statistics. Mr. DeBartola has a habit of taking information and twisting it. He needs to be more responsible for what he posts on Facebook and maybe stop degrading women on Facebook, and he might have the opportunity to get the information right.
Moving on, question 5. How do you view public housing in the city of Johnstown, and what changes would you support, if any? Reverend King, we begin with you. You have 1 minute.
We do not need any more public housing. I think everybody agrees with that. What we need to do is right-size our housing, which is right in line with what our state representative and Senator Langerhold wants for the area, to right-size it. When we were 60,000 in population, maybe that was fine then, but it is not fine now. However, we have to deal with what we have. Johnstown Housing Authority applied for a planning grant. That was $500,000 to do a study on the west end part of town between Oakhurst and Coopersdale to see what changes they could make, to see what is needed in that area, to involve the citizens in that area, to see if they could actually maybe put businesses in that area. I'm part of that planning grant committee because I want to know what's going into the planning. The current model of housing, the stacked on top of one another, that is called concentrated poverty. That is not a model that is conducive to any city.
Mr. DeBartola, how do you view public housing in the city of Johnstown, and what changes would you support, if any? You now have 1 minute.
I'd like to see public housing reduced. The reality of the situation is we do have too much public housing compared to our population. It's called a concentration of poverty. 2 years ago, we saw the Prospect home shut down because the structures collapsed. Oakhurst recently had a black mold lawsuit settled. You covered both of those. I exposed both of those. The time has come that we start appointing members to the Johnstown Housing Authority Board that are going to say, I'm going to take action to reduce housing and are actually a part of the solution. The board members we have now, some have been on for 20 years. I call them political dinosaurs because we're at a point now where all of the boards and authorities have such an entrenched bureaucracy, they're not getting out of power. This year alone, they haven't appointed any board members to almost any of the boards for entire 2025. I don't know what they're waiting for. One of the key powers of the City Council is to appoint boards to all the boards, Redevelopment Authority, Water Authority, Housing Authority, Planning Commission, you name them. The fact that they haven't taken their power to appoint people and they're letting this wait shows a problem with the City Council.
Reverend King, you have 30 seconds if you so choose for a rebuttal.
I'm glad he brought up Prospect. Mr. DeBartola flip-flopped on that area because when they closed Prospect, that was a great opportunity for that area to remain closed. While Prospect is a great area, a great neighborhood, and we certainly would miss those residents, that was an opportunity for the Johnstown Housing Authority to do something different. But Mr. DeBartola, who wanted attention, decided that he would come up and try to get attention, which he did, and pretend like he was the savior of the Prospect homes and getting the people back into Prospect. But nonetheless, he says he doesn't want more housing. He needs to make up his mind.
Mr. DeBartola, you have 30 seconds now for a rebuttal.
I think it's interesting that you're throwing some shade. I'm glad you're showing your true colors. The reality of the situation is we need to reduce public housing. When those structures were collapsing at Prospect, I fought for the residents because they were already there. They're our citizens. They live here. I want to stop the pipeline to Philly and New Jersey that you want to bring in. We have to have a reduction in housing. We have to stop the crime, and that starts with the Johnstown Housing Authority. You were on the Crime Commission 12 years ago, Sylvia. All of those recommendations, you never acted on any of them. You wrote it in the report, you signed your name to it, you didn't do it.
We move on to our last question before we get to closing statements. What will this city look like at the end of your term if you are elected? Mr. DeBartola, we start with you. You have 1 minute.
I'd like to see tax incentives to encourage new business to come here. As mayor, I want to actually work hands-on with the business community. Right now, if you want to open a business in the city, most of the times you have to go through JARI or Vision, and there's so much bureaucratic red tape and so many issues, they can't get through. I want to stop the backroom meetings. No more Afghan refugee plots from Vision. I don't want the nonprofits to rule the city council or to rule this community. Leadership has to come from the city council, and that's going to start with me. We're going to stop all the backroom deals. We're actually going to bring in wealth to our community. We have to bring jobs here. I met with Congressman Ro Khanna back in January about bringing a steel mill here. That deal got squashed by people that Sylvia knows. That deal should have happened. The Cambria Rao building, $1.9 million, 150 jobs lost. Sylvia keeps appointing Mark Pasquarello to the JRA board. Until we have jobs brought in and the city doesn't squash those job potentials, we're never going to be able to move forward. And that begins by making changes.
Reverend King, what will the city look like at the end of your term if you are elected? You now have 1 minute.
Once again, the position of mayor is one of servant, not one of power. Mr. DeBartola feels that he has this power that he can just come in on day one and change things. He must learn how to work with people and work with the business sector. If you do not have a relationship with them now, how do you think you're going to have one later? Our nonprofits help our citizens. Under my administration, the city will look like a unified city, one that works together, a stable city, a city that now is making progress. Let us remember, in February of 2023, the city was on the brink of bankruptcy. 30 years the city had been in Act 47 status. I was part of that team that helped work to bring us out of that bankruptcy. I know what it takes. I know that it takes cooperation. I know that it takes collaboration. It does not take negativity. It does not take people berating people. It does not take bullying. It takes us working together, being professional, and respecting one another's opinions.
Mr. DeBartola, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
When you cost the people of this community 150 jobs and then say it's being negative on a $2 million grant that could have transformed this entire community, that's not being negative. That's being honest. When you try to bring in Afghan refugees and you still haven't talked about your role in voting to bring in 500 Afghan refugee families here, importing poverty and hiding it from the community, you prove to us all you're trying to do is silence people. You throw out these buzzwords, here's what's going on. The reality is you are hiding from us, you are playing games, and you are lying to this community.
Reverend King, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you choose.
The only person hiding and lying is Mr. DeBartola. Once again, he's making it seem as if I have some great powers that I do not have. I am part of the council. We make decisions together, and that's how we come up. I did not have anything to do with the Afghan refugees. They were vetted people who helped our troops. This is why they were trying to get them, but it didn't happen. Why do you keep going back? We are to move forward. If we are going to do anything, we must move forward and be the Johnstown of the future and not the Johnstown of the past.
That is all the time we have for our questions. We want to thank both of you for your answers. You will each have 1 minute now for closing statements. Mr. DeBartola, you will go last. You will go second because you won the coin toss. Reverend King, your closing statement begins now. You have 1 minute.
First, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to stand and have this privilege to speak to not only you, but speak to the citizens of our great city of Johnstown. I have been on council for the past 8 years, gladly serving. I am a pastor in the community. I am employed in the community. I am not ashamed or afraid to tell you where I work. I've been with AmeriServe for over 30 years. I've been a pastor for over 25. It is my privilege to serve the people. I want us to be a city that moves forward. I would like us to come together and see a city more unified. I do not have anything to hide. I am transparent, but I also believe that oftentimes when we think of transparency, it's not transparency that we need, it's clarity. We need a better understanding. I encourage all citizens to come to the city council meetings, every second Wednesday of the month at 6 o'clock. When we had the public meetings to say what we were going to do with the ARPA funds, only 2 people ever showed up. Nevertheless, all the programs that we have, Mr. DeBartola is a benefactor of them.
Mr. DeBartola, you may begin your closing statement. You have 1 minute.
It's been 8 years as Sylvia King on the City Council. 8 years of failures, 8 years of excuses. The reality is, are you better off now than you were 8 years ago? And the answer is no. We have more crime. We have more issues. We have less jobs. We have a destruction of our Central Park. We have so many issues that she's failed to address. And now we're at a point where I'm asking you all to take a stand and vote for change. I'm running with Joe Taranto. He's running for City Council. I'm running for mayor. And I'm asking you for your support and your vote to bring that change. If we don't start streamlining government and start making the government responsive, we have to be transparent. It's not a matter of clarity, it's a matter of being open and honest. There have been so many issues that have been buried by this council. So I'm asking for your support. I'm asking you to take a chance on me and to vote for change and to bring that change so when we hit a point in the next 4 years that we have a Johnstown that we're all proud of. Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you for your time. Now, this debate can be viewed in its entirety on our website and our social media platforms. So anyone just joining us now or joining in the middle, you can go back and watch this in its entirety to get a better understanding of both candidates ahead of the November 4th election. And a couple quick reminders ahead of that November 4th election. The last day to register to vote is October 20th, and the last day to apply for mail-in ballot is October 28th.
Please exercise your right to vote on Tuesday, November 4th on Election Day. Don't go anywhere because 6 News at 6 will be right back after this.